Okay, so I'm trying to make my mom's beef stew, and I don't know if you're going to be able to hear my voice over the sound of the sizzling, so that's why I have a clip that could just be you watching the onions and the garlic saute. So they were frozen chopped onions that I had in my freezer, and some garlic that I put in there with some oil to get them sort of all started. Now here I have some extra lean ground beef that I've had in my freezer. So I forgot to take it out last night. It's been thawing for a chunk of the day. I'm gonna put it in the pan next and brown it up before I start adding vegetables and seasoning and trying to figure out what to do about a sauce, because I just realized I don't know what I'm doing for a sauce. Great cooking video. Anyways, I'm having trouble with my tripod and I can't get it to tilt at the right angle to be able to show you as I'm doing things. So you're just gonna get clips kind of in between. My apologies. Okay, so I accidentally tapped the phone and it went flying and then it stopped recording. And then when I thought I was recording something, it didn't record. So let me bring you up to speed. The beef bouillon cube got partially dissolved in the hottest water that I could get out of my tap. It couldn't fully dissolve and I couldn't boil water. So I poured it into the pot. That is the liquid that you're seeing in there now. I'm bringing it up to a boil in the hopes that while it's boiling in there, it'll finish dissolving the bouillon cube. And then once it's at a full boil, I'm gonna be putting in some frozen vegetables. So I have the remain of this bag of frozen veggies. It's just one of those like really simple medleys that I'm probably gonna put in there, although I could save it to put with noodles later in the week, I suppose. I'm not fully decided on this one yet, but for sure going in there is this, because this is what I bought it for. So there's carrot, celery, turnip, onion, parsnips, and leeks in this bag. I'm gonna start by putting half the bag in and then see what that ratio of veggie to the meat broth kind of looks like. And then I also have some canned sliced mushrooms. I really like mushrooms in any kind of like a stew type of a situation. So this is good. This is coming to a boil nice and quickly. I have to move the tripod back to be able to get the vegetables in, I think. So I don't know that I can actually show it happening while I'm doing it. I'm very like, I don't know. I filmed here before and I can't figure out what I did differently that I had more space, it seemed like, to be able to do this. I've done something wrong, but we're at where we're at right now. So I'm gonna pause you, add the vegetables in, and we'll be right back. Okay, so here is the pot with the vegetables added in. I ended up doing a little bit more than half of the bag. I really just eyeballed it. And then I also put in some rice cakes. I'm trying to finish them up. I've had a bag in my freezer forever, so I kind of add some of them to a variety of different dishes, ones that make sense and ones that don't. But I like rice cakes and I like them in pretty much anything that I've added them to so far, so I don't see why it would be any different putting them in stew. Yeah, now because all the veggies that I just added are frozen, it's going to take a little while for this to come back up to boiling. It is just on like a 2-burner hot plate type of a thing. I don't have a stove or an oven. So, oops. Oh, and I have you're so poorly balanced. But yeah, so I've just sort of got them all mixed in there. I'm going to wait for this to come back up to a boil. And then to add in, I have the mushrooms. I've opened them and they're ready to go. I decided that small bag of mixed vegetables that I have that is sort of almost done, I wasn't going to use because there were so many vegetables in the bag I bought specifically for this project that I'm like, I don't know that I really need to add those ones. And I do like to mix those ones in if I make noodle dishes or do like ramen or something like that. Like this kind of, I buy them to help bulk up my veggies when I make dinner, but also I buy them specifically for putting into ramen. So who knows if I'm going to eat ramen at some point this week. If so, I'll need vegetables, right? But yeah, I won't make you sit and actually watch this while I wait for it to come to a boil, because that would be horrendously boring. I will do it for you and then I'll come back when I'm about to put the mushrooms in. I lied. I'm back early. I realized I haven't put any seasonings in this yet, and I know some people say you're supposed to season at every step of the cooking process. Clearly, I didn't do that because I didn't know what seasonings I wanted to use. My mom, when she makes stew, she says she puts in parsley, oregano, and basil always, and then maybe she'll put in something else depending on her mood. Moods do not help me. I don't know how to cook. So I'm gonna put in some 21 Seasoning Salute from Trader Joe's. I have no idea how much of any of these I should use, so I'm just going to put in a bunch and then hope for the best, I suppose. And then I do have basil and oregano and parsley. So this is basil. And the next one is oregano. Parsley. This one does not want to come out all that much. Okay, so I've got those in, and then my thing that I'm going to add is green and red chili flakes from Trader Joe's. I add these to almost everything. I like things to be spicy. I also plan on adding jalapenos to this later, and that is something my mother would never in a million years do. So while like I keep thinking in my head, I'm making mom's stew, I'm really not. Really not. I'm just using sort of her base beginning with the bouillon and the meat and putting in vegetables. And then the rest is just me butchering it potentially or making it great. It could be great. Who knows? We don't know yet. So I'm just going to try to get these mixed in a little bit. If you do Weight Watchers, it's actually a very Weight Watcher friendly pointed food or meal. Because, well, the points for the meat will very much depend on exactly what you buy and how much of it you put in here. So there is points for the beef. I've purposely purchased the extra lean so that the points would be low. There's no points for the vegetables, no points for the broth. If you're somebody who has to pay attention to things like sodium, you might want to get like a low sodium broth instead. Like I don't have to pay attention to sodium, so I just bought the bouillon cubes that were on sale. But yeah, like the veggies and the broth themselves, 0 points. The beef, yes, points, but that's okay. And then it would always depend, or also depend, I mean, on what you serve it with. So mom always served it as it was, and then you would just have like a piece of bread or a dinner bun or something on the side with it. I remember hers being a lot thicker, so I don't know if I put in too much broth or I need to add more vegetables, or maybe just let it boil down. I'm not sure. I don't know. I might have messed this up a little bit, but I'll try to make it thicker. Oh, cornstarch. I think she said to add cornstarch. Oh man. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and read her text message. But it was always like plenty as it was. That you didn't need to put it with anything else. But you could, I suppose, when you go to eat it, like put a side of rice with it. Maybe some other side dish with it. I really can't think of what you would put with it because I always think of it as a complete meal that you just put in a bowl and maybe have bread with on the side. But yeah, if you're watching your points or your calories, whatever way you do things, it's kind of a friendly one for that because it's really just relying on like the broth and seasoning and the veggies and then good protein. Oh, I added rice cakes though, so those might have points. I'll have to try to calculate that out. I didn't count how many I put in. I just kind of, they all come out of the bag in a clump because they're frozen. So I'll have to guess with that. But that is my thing. If you don't put them in, then you don't need to worry about it. You can get that spinach off. Okay, so I'm going to leave this to come fully up to a boil and do its thing. And we'll be back. Actually, it's almost boiling now. Maybe we'll just add the mushrooms in now. Okay, so I drained them from the can. I just don't know if I want the entire can of them. I just realized that sentence made no sense. I drained the liquid from the can. So I'm just sort of putting out maybe half, although if I don't put them all in, what in the world am I going to use them for? And now the can's open, they have to be used. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. Oh no, I dropped one. Ah! I think though if I put them all in, the ratio of the mushrooms to everything else might be a little bit skewed. So I've done about half the can of mushrooms. We're going to ignore the one that's on the floor by my foot right now. And I'm just going to let everything boil for a while and hope that I didn't put too much stuff in this pot and that it boils over, because that would be unfortunate. And yeah, this is not actually what I'm having for dinner tonight, which is amusing. But when I cook something in like a big batch like this, it's almost never what I want to have for dinner the night of. I'm cooking this to have it for dinners throughout the week, because I've been eating a little bit more unhealthy than normal for the last couple weeks or so, and I wanted to get back on track, and I thought the easiest way to do that would be to make a big batch of something that's relatively low pointed that I can easily just warm up. I'm hoping, well, when I started thinking about this, I'm like, I'm hoping it'll make at least 4 portions, but I would say looking at this is definitely 4 portions. 5 if I decide to have a slightly smaller portion and like a side salad or something with it. So yeah, I'm just gonna let it boil for a while, and I'll bring you back after it's simmered for a bit. Okay, so it definitely doesn't look like my mother's. I'm sure hers was like a darker, richer looking broth. I added a cornstarch slurry in there. I keep wanting to call it a flurry, you know, like snow flurries, but cornstarch and water mixed them together, and then I put that in there to help try to thicken it up a little bit. I'm going to continue to let it boil for, I don't know, however long it seems to need to boil to get some of the liquid down. I think the liquid will go down faster if I boil it with the lid off, so I'm going to leave the lid off and just kind of keep stirring it every now and then. And while that is doing its thing, I'm going to figure out what I want to have for dinner and get started on that. Okay, so I think this is kind of the final product. I actually have the heat turned off. It's just the burner is still hot, so it hasn't stopped boiling yet. I would like it to be thicker, but when I run the spatula against the bottom of the pan, stuff is starting to stick a little bit, so I think it's safer to stop it since I know like everything is fully cooked. I'll let it finish boiling and then kind of bring it down to temperature a bit, find something to store it into, can't talk, find something to store it in and put it in the fridge, and this is going to be my dinner for the upcoming week, so you will see it in the What I Eat videos. Yeah, I didn't put any other seasonings in with it. When I eat it, I'm probably going to add some jalapenos. I just didn't want to add them now because they'll just get soggy. And I don't know, it doesn't look like my mom's, but it might be okay. It just, nothing is as good as your mom's food, right? Or at least mine. I like my mom's cooking. And I don't know why I try to mimic or like recreate things that she does, because it never works. You should have seen what happened when I tried the meatloaf. Oh, it was a disaster. But yeah, so anyways, already the boil is starting to minimize. There is, like when I scoop it up and look, like there's lots of veggies in there and the beef and everything. So, I mean, I think it actually will, like it'll be good, it'll be hearty, it'll be nutritious, it'll be all the things that I really do need it to be. And if it doesn't taste like my mother's because I didn't have the right seasonings or I messed something up in the process, well, it's fine. This will be my version of the beef stew. And I'll just have to try again to figure out hers.